When love feels wrong, choosing yourself can be a powerful act of empowerment. It involves prioritizing your own needs, boundaries, and well-being, even when it means making difficult decisions that may affect a relationship. This can lead to increased self-esteem, stronger relationships with others, and a greater sense of personal fulfillment. In this video, we are going to talk about when love feels wrong, choosing yourself is empowering. Before we start the video, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for future updates. Let's start the video. 1. Self-respect and boundaries. Sometimes love doesn't feel like love at all. It feels heavy, confusing, like you're always reaching for someone who never quite reaches back. And you tell yourself to hold on, to be patient, to love harder, because that's what love is supposed to be, right? But there comes a moment when you realize loving someone should never mean abandoning yourself. You start to notice how much of you've put on hold, how often you silence your needs just to keep the peace. You start shrinking, second-guessing, apologizing for being too much or not enough. And it hurts because you want it to work. You care deeply, but deep down you feel it. This isn't love that nourishes you. It's love that drains you. Choosing yourself in that moment isn't giving up. It's waking up. It's saying, I deserve to feel safe, to feel seen, to feel chosen, not just tolerated. It takes courage to walk away, not from the person, but from the version of yourself that accepted pain as proof of love. And in that choice, something shifts. You stop begging to be understood and start learning to understand yourself. You begin to rebuild, not bitter, but wiser, more honest. You learn that boundaries are not walls, they're bridges back to who you are. You stop waiting to be saved and realize you were the one you were waiting for all along. 2. Personal growth. Personal growth doesn't always look like a breakthrough. Sometimes it's just getting through the day without falling apart. It's waking up tired but showing up anyway. It's letting go of the version of you that was too afraid to try, too stuck in old stories, too used to settling. Growth is quiet at first. It doesn't come with applause or a big sign that says, "You're healing." It comes in those small, defiant choices: to speak up, to rest when you need to stop chasing people who make you feel small. It's uncomfortable, even lonely at times, because becoming who you're meant to be means outgrowing what used to feel familiar. There are moments you'll question it all, wonder if you're actually moving forward or just spinning in circles. But then something shifts. A conversation doesn't upset you the way it used to. You handle rejection with more grace. You forgive yourself a little faster. That's growth, not flashy, but real. And the beautiful thing? You start realizing that becoming isn't about fixing who you are. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to be less. It's peeling back the layers, not adding more. So keep going, even when it's messy, even when it's hard, especially then, because you're not behind, you're becoming, and that's the most human, honest thing you can do. 3. Stronger relationships. Stronger relationships aren't built in the easy moments. They're built in the silence after an argument, in the courage it takes to say, "I was wrong," or "that hurt me." They grow in the space where honesty feels a little risky but necessary, because the truth is, connection isn't about perfection, it's about presence. Being willing to show up, even when it's uncomfortable, especially then. Love deepens when people stop trying to win and start trying to understand. When I hear you matters more than "I'm right." And it's not always about grand gestures. Sometimes it's choosing to listen, even when you're tired, holding space for someone else's feelings without needing to fix them. Letting them be fully themselves, knowing you're safe to do the same. Strong relationships don't ask you to disappear. They invite you to grow. They challenge you to be more honest, more vulnerable, more yourself. And in that, there's this quiet kind of strength. A bond that isn't based on fear of loss, but on mutual respect. On choosing each other, not out of need, but from wholeness. It's not perfect. It never is. But when both people are willing to keep choosing, through the messy conversations, the long silences, the laughter and the pain, That's when something real begins to form, something worth holding on to. 4. Reduce stress and anxiety. Stress doesn't always show up loudly. Sometimes it's just that tightness in your chest you can't explain. The racing thoughts when everything around you seems still. You smile, you say you're fine, but inside it's like your mind won't let you breathe. And anxiety, it doesn't wait for the right time. It just creeps in, mid-conversation, mid-dream, mid-day, making everything feel heavier than it really is. But then slowly, something begins to change. You start to notice the space between thoughts. You start to pause before reacting. You give yourself permission to not be everything for everyone. And in those quiet shifts, the weight begins to lift. You realize you don't have to earn rest. That peace doesn't come from fixing everything. It comes from letting go of what you can't control. You stop running from stillness and start listening to it. It tells you you're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to exist without proving your worth every second. And that moment, when you choose calm over chaos, presence over pressure, that's when the noise inside you starts to fade. Not all at once, but enough to remind you that you're not your stress. You're not your anxious thoughts. You're something steadier, deeper, more rooted. And from that place, you begin again. Softer, stronger, freer. 5. Authenticity and happiness. There's something incredibly freeing about just being who you are. No performance, no pretending, just you. Raw, real, unfiltered. And maybe that's where happiness truly begins. Not in chasing the version of yourself you think people want, but in coming home to the version you've always been, underneath it all. It's not always easy. The world rewards masks. It tells you to blend in, to smooth out your edges, to trade truth for approval. But that kind of happiness never lasts. It flickers. It depends too much on who's watching, and eventually you're left wondering why you feel so empty after doing everything right. But authenticity, it's different. It's quiet but powerful. It's the laugh that comes from your gut, not your throat. The way your eyes light up when you're talking about something you love, not something you're expected to. It's choosing honesty over fitting in. It's saying, this is who I am, and being okay if not everyone stays. And the beautiful thing, when you show up as yourself, the right people start to show up too. Not for the image, not for the act, for you. That's a different kind of happiness. Not loud or flashy, but deep, lasting, real. Because at the end of the day, joy doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being true. 6. Surround yourself with success. Tony says that proximity is power. This is also known as the law of attraction, or the idea that, in essence, you become the people you surround yourself with. Tony puts it another way. Whatever you hold in your mind on a consistent basis is exactly what you will experience in your life. If you've turned your shoulds into musts and recognized all your excuses, but still aren't sure how to overcome fear and put your goals into action, it's time to examine your focus. People who are focused on overcoming fear and achieving their dreams surround themselves with others who have the same mindset. These are people who you not only look up to, but who will push you to achieve your goals. To overcome fear, you need to raise your standards and allow others to hold you accountable. Why choosing yourself? You know, there's this moment, quiet but piercing, when love starts to feel off. Not loud or obvious, not dramatic like in the movies. It's just a dull ache. The kind that settles in your chest when you realize you're shrinking just to keep something together. When you laugh a little less, speak a little softer, hide parts of yourself you used to be proud of. And all for what? To be loved in a way that doesn't feel like love anymore. It's hard, because when you've invested your heart into someone, walking away feels like failure. But here's the thing they don't tell you. Sometimes love doesn't die in one big explosion. Sometimes it fades out in the small ways you abandon yourself trying to be enough. And that kind of love, the one that costs you, isn't love worth staying for. I hope you like this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for future updates. See you in the next video.